The Discovery. The crystalline vessel Luminous Inquiry drifted silently in the void, its diamond-faceted hull reflecting starlight in prismatic patterns. Inside the primary research chamber, Chief Analyst Tezra Voss observed the holographic displays with her 6 eyes narrowed in concentration. Her slender, azure-tinted body remained perfectly still as information streams cascaded around her. "Status report on the human vessel," she requested, her voice melodious yet firm. Her second-in-command, Analyst Krill, manipulated the control interface with 3 of his limbs. "Towing complete, Chief. The human warship is secured in Holding Bay 4. Atmospheric containment and radiation shielding are at optimal levels." Tezra's gill slits pulsed with excitement. "The Galactic Conclave will be pleased. This is the first intact human military vessel we've obtained. Their expansion has been concerning." "Concerning is an understatement," muttered Senior Weapons Specialist Narvek, his scarlet scales bristling. 3 cycles ago, humans were barely capable of interplanetary travel. Now they control 17 systems and have fought the Drex hegemony to a standstill. Tezra gestured for silence. "That's why this discovery is crucial. The vessel appears to have been abandoned following battle damage, but its core systems remain largely intact." The research team assembled in the holding bay, their environmental suits glimmering under the emergency lighting. Before them loomed the human warship, a brutal, angular construction of dark metal and composite materials. Battle scars marred its hull, exposing internal structures and severed conduits. "Designation reads UES Dauntless," Krill observed, scanning the markings. "Classification: Destroyer-class warship." Narvek circled the vessel, his scanner probing the weapon systems. "Primitive but effective. Railgun emplacements, missile pods, point defense lasers. Nothing we haven't encountered before, yet." Yet the Drex fleet at Proxima Centauri was decimated by vessels like this. Tezra finished. "Begin internal exploration. I want to understand why." The alien team breached the outer hull through a decompression tear. Inside, they found corridors designed for efficiency rather than comfort, exposed conduits, reinforced bulkheads, and sparse accommodations. "No signs of survivors," reported medical specialist Zinla, her gossamer tendrils waving through the air. "But evidence suggests rapid evacuation rather than complete crew loss." They moved deeper into the ship, documenting everything. The bridge revealed standard command interfaces, nothing extraordinary in the technology itself. The engineering section showed robust but unremarkable propulsion systems. "I don't understand," Krill admitted. "These humans use technology at least 2 evolutionary cycles behind our own. Their material science is rudimentary. Their computational systems are practically archaic." Tezra shook her head. "We're missing something." The breakthrough came when they accessed the ship's secure data core. Narvek, despite his militaristic tendencies, was also their finest information specialist. His manipulators danced across the alien interface. "I've bypassed their encryption," he announced, accessing battle records, crew logs, and tactical databases now. The holographic projector in their portable lab hummed to life. They watched as the final battle of the UES Dauntless unfolded. The human vessel, already severely damaged, faced overwhelming odds against a Drex battle group. Tactical situation: hopeless, Narvek analyzed. Their drive core was compromised, shields failing, weapons at 30% capacity. Yet the humans fought on. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the captain ordered increasingly desperate maneuvers. The crew, despite sustaining casualties and knowing their situation was terminal, executed commands with unwavering discipline. "Listen to their communications," Zinla whispered. The human captain's voice was calm despite the chaos. "Divert auxiliary power to forward weapons. We're going straight through their formation." "Sir, that's suicide," came the response. "Probably, but we'll take 3 of them with us. That gives the Perseus and the Valiant time to evacuate the colonists." "Worth it." Tezra felt her innermost heart chamber constrict. They deliberately sacrificed themselves. Tactical log indicates they rammed a Drex command vessel at maximum acceleration. Krill confirmed. The resulting explosion destroyed 4 enemy ships and created enough confusion for the human colony vessels to escape. They continued reviewing data, moving beyond the battle records to training materials, psychological evaluations, and military doctrine. Hours stretched into days as the research team immersed themselves in the human mindset. "This can't be right," Zinla finally said, her voice trembling. "According to these psychological profiles, humans are wired to become more focused and efficient under extreme stress. Most species experience cognitive collapse under similar conditions." Narvek pored over the tactical databases. Their military doctrine embraces concepts that would be considered barbaric by Conclave standards. They call it going down fighting. When defeat is inevitable, their priority shifts from survival to inflicting maximum damage. "There's more," Krill added. "Their training simulations deliberately expose crews to no-win scenarios to build psychological resilience. They're conditioned to never surrender, even when survival is impossible." Tezra studied the crew records closely. This is perhaps most disturbing of all. The humans aboard this vessel came from different genetic lineages, cultural backgrounds, and belief systems. Such diversity typically creates inefficiency and conflict, yet they functioned as a perfect unit. "That shouldn't be possible," Zinla protested. "Uniform genetic and cultural foundations are essential for military cohesion. It's a biological constant throughout the galaxy." "Not for humans, apparently," Tezra replied. "They've somehow turned their diversity into an asset. Each brings different perspectives to problem solving. It's chaotic but adaptable." The team gathered in their secure conference chamber aboard the Luminous Inquiry. The mood was somber as they contemplated their findings. "We need to report this to the Conclave immediately," Krill insisted. "Humans aren't just another emerging species. They're something we haven't encountered before." Narvek's scales had paled to a muted pink. "If we report this, the Conclave will advocate for immediate military action to contain humanity. Based on what we've learned, that would be catastrophic." "Agreed," Tezra said. "Conventional warfare against humans would fail. They don't fight for conquest or resources like other species. They fight hardest when defending their own, and they don't accept defeat even when it's mathematically certain." Zinla's tendrils coiled anxiously. "What are you suggesting?" Tezra closed her eyes momentarily. "I'm suggesting we must be extremely careful with our report. The Conclave must understand that humans cannot be approached as we have other species. They must be befriended, not confronted." "That's bordering on treason," Krill warned. "We have a duty to present unbiased analysis." "And I intend to," Tezra assured him. "But I also have a duty to prevent galactic war. If the Conclave responds with aggression, the humans won't cower or negotiate from weakness. They'll fight until either they're extinct or we are." The team fell silent, the weight of their discovery pressing down on them. They had come seeking technological insights, but instead found something far more significant and terrifying. Humanity wasn't exceptional because of their weapons or ships, but because of something much harder to counter: their indomitable spirit and willingness to sacrifice everything for their collective survival. Tezra gazed at the holographic image of the UES Dauntless. "We must tread carefully, very carefully indeed." The revelation. 3 cycles later, the Luminous Inquiry approached the gleaming orbital platforms of Helios Prime, the Galactic Conclave's administrative center. Tezra Voss stood on the observation deck, watching as the massive structures came into view: crystalline spires and gravity-defying architecture, showcasing the Conclave's technological superiority. Yet for the first time in her career, she felt no pride at returning to this symbol of unified galactic civilization. Only dread. "The High Ministers have convened an emergency session," Krill informed her, his voice tight. "Our preliminary report has caused considerable alarm." "As expected," Tezra replied. Have they taken any action regarding the human territories? Not yet. They're awaiting our full analysis and recommendations. Narvek joined them, his scales now a deep, troubled crimson. I've received intelligence from my military contacts. The Defense Directorate is already drawing up containment protocols. They're viewing humanity as a Level 1 existential threat. Tezra's gill slits fluttered with distress, based solely on our preliminary findings. That's precisely what I feared. There's more, Narvek continued. A diplomatic incident occurred in the Ta Sidi system 2 days ago. A Conclave patrol vessel encountered a human mining operation in a disputed asteroid belt. Words were exchanged, and the patrol commander demanded the humans withdraw immediately. What happened? Zinla asked, joining the group. The humans refused. When the patrol vessel attempted to disable the mining equipment, a single human defense corvette arrived. It was outgunned 5-1. Tezra closed her eyes. And yet, Narvek confirmed, the human vessel destroyed 3 Conclave ships before the others retreated. The patrol commander reported that the humans fought with irrational disregard for survival probabilities. It's happening already, Tezra whispered. The very scenario we feared. The grand chamber of the conclave was a marvel of architectural splendor, a vast amphitheater supported by gravity manipulation technology, allowing the representatives of 200 species to convene in comfort regardless of their physiological needs. At the center stood the Council of High Ministers, the 12 most respected leaders in known space. Tezra approached the presentation platform, her research team behind her. The chamber hummed with tension. Chief Analyst Voss, High Minister Xortal acknowledged, his crystalline form glinting with inner light. Your preliminary report has caused significant concern among this body. Please present your complete findings regarding the human military vessel. Tezra activated her presentation matrix. Above the chamber, holographic displays showed the UES Dauntless in meticulous detail. Honored ministers, representatives of the conclave, I present our analysis of human military capabilities and psychology based on our examination of the warship Dauntless. She began. Our findings are not what we expected. For the next hour, she methodically presented their discoveries. The technological assessment, the battle records, the psychological profiles, and the military doctrine. The chamber grew increasingly silent as the implications became clear. To summarize, Tezra concluded, humans do not possess superior technology. Their advantage lies in their psychology and social structures. 3 key factors make them uniquely dangerous: their ability to function optimally under extreme stress, their willingness to sacrifice themselves for collective goals, and their capacity to integrate diverse perspectives into unified action. High Minister Xortal's crystalline structure pulsed with concern. You're suggesting that conventional military action against humanity would be ineffective. I am stating it explicitly, Tezra replied. Our simulations indicate that aggressive containment would trigger a full-scale human military response. Unlike other species, humans do not calculate victory based on resource preservation or minimizing casualties. They evaluate victory solely on achieving their objective, regardless of cost. Preposterous, declared Minister Vashnir of the Strategic Command. No species can sustain warfare under such conditions. Resource depletion alone would force capitulation. Narvek stepped forward. Minister, with respect, that assumption is based on rational economic principles that don't apply to human conflict psychology. Historical records from their homeworld show humans fighting to the last individual, even when defeat was mathematically certain. The conclave erupted in debate. Some representatives called for immediate military action to contain the human threat before it expanded further. Others advocated quarantine protocols to isolate human space from the rest of galactic civilization. Tezra raised her voice above the commotion. Ministers, there is another approach we must consider. The chamber gradually quieted. The same psychological traits that make humans dangerous opponents also make them valuable allies. Their innovation under pressure, their commitment to collective goals, and their diverse problem-solving approaches could benefit the conclave immensely. "You suggest an alliance with this volatile species?" asked Minister Yandra of the diplomatic court, her feathered crest rising in surprise. "I suggest careful, respectful engagement," Tezra clarified. "Humanity values reciprocity and fairness. Their conflicts often stem from perceived threats to their sovereignty or safety. If approached as equals, their historical records indicate they form lasting, loyal alliances." The debate continued for hours. Eventually, High Minister Zortal raised his appendages for silence. "We shall deliberate on Chief Analyst Voss's recommendations. In the meantime, all military actions regarding human territory are suspended. Diplomatic channels will be established." As the session adjourned, Tezra felt momentary relief. It was short-lived. A senior courier rushed to the platform, transmitting directly to the High Ministers. The chamber, which had begun to empty, suddenly froze as Zortal's voice rang out. "We have received disturbing news. Following the Tav City incident, the human government has declared a state of military readiness. Their fleet movements indicate potential offensive operations against conclave outposts." Panic rippled through the chamber. Tezra stepped forward urgently. "Ministers, this is precisely the scenario we warned about. Humans interpret shows of force as existential threats. The patrol vessel's actions were perceived as aggression against their citizens. What do you recommend, Analyst Voss?" Zortal asked, his tone grave. "Immediate, open communication at the highest diplomatic level. Acknowledge the patrol's error. Offer reparations for any damages. Most importantly, recognize their territorial rights publicly." "Capitulation," Minister Vashnir sputtered. "Unthinkable." "Not capitulation," Tezra countered. "Strategic respect. Humans respond to strength, but they define strength differently than we do. To them, acknowledging mistakes is a sign of confidence, not weakness." After tense deliberation, the conclave authorized an emergency diplomatic mission. Tezra and her team were assigned as advisors, given their unique understanding of human psychology. The diplomatic vessel traveled under explicit peace protocols to the human military headquarters at Alpha Centauri. When they arrived, they found the human fleet fully mobilized, hundreds of warships in battle formation, weapons systems active. The human military commander, Admiral Helena Chen, received them in a Spartanly furnished conference room. Her expression remained impassive as the conclave representatives delivered their message. "The conclave acknowledges the unauthorized actions of our patrol vessels," the diplomat stated. "We offer formal apologies and reparations for the loss of equipment and lives." Admiral Chen studied them carefully. "This is the first time the conclave has acknowledged error in its dealings with non-member species. Why now?" Tezra stepped forward. "Because we recently came to understand something about humanity that changed our perspective." "And what might that be?" Chen asked. "That you fight hardest when defending your own. That you value fairness above dominance. That your greatest strength isn't your weapons, but your will." A flicker of surprise crossed the Admiral's face. Then, unexpectedly, she smiled. "Refreshingly honest. Your conclave has a reputation for diplomatic ambiguity. We're learning that transparency might serve us better in this instance," Tezra replied. The Admiral leaned forward. "Let me be equally transparent. Humanity has no territorial ambitions against the conclave. We expanded rapidly because we needed the resources and security. We fought the Drex because they attacked our colonies without provocation. And now," asked the conclave diplomat, "now we want what most sentient species want: security, prosperity, and the freedom to determine our own destiny. If the conclave can respect that, we'll have no quarrel." The negotiations continued for days. Gradually, a framework for coexistence emerged. The human fleet stood down. Conclave patrols were withdrawn from disputed regions. Communication protocols were established to prevent future misunderstandings. Before departing, Admiral Chen requested a private meeting with Tezra. Your analysis of our psychology was remarkably accurate, the Admiral noted. I've read the unclassified portions of your report. You understood what many species fail to grasp. We don't seek conflict, but we don't shy from it either. Tezra's gill slits pulsed gently. Understanding is the foundation of peace. Indeed. But understand this as well, Analyst Voss. The Dauntless was one of our older vessels, with outdated systems and protocols. What you learned from it was just the surface of what humanity is capable of. The statement wasn't delivered as a threat, merely a fact. Tezra felt a renewed chill in her innermost heart. I will ensure the Conclave remains mindful of that reality, Admiral. Chen smiled again. Good, because I believe our species can accomplish remarkable things together if mutual respect is maintained. Upon returning to Helios Prime, Tezra submitted her final report to the High Ministers. Its conclusion was simple yet profound. Humanity represents not merely a new species in our galactic community, but a new approach to existence itself. Their psychological makeup, forged in the crucible of their homeworld's harsh evolutionary pressures, creates beings that defy conventional analysis. They are individually fragile, yet collectively resilient, technologically developing, yet conceptually revolutionary, physically unremarkable, yet psychologically indomitable. The Conclave faces a choice: attempt to contain this force and inevitably fail, or embrace it as an ally and evolve together. The discovery of the UES Dauntless did not reveal a technological threat, but rather a philosophical one, a challenge to our fundamental understanding of what drives intelligent life and how diverse species can coexist.